Hiya. I've been recently playing a lot of albums that are live recordings, and I've just really started to appreciate how wonderful this format is on records. So I wanted to just go through a couple of LPs I have in my collection. I have a lot more, but I'm just going to go through six or seven of these and just talk about them. You may have some of these, or some of these may or may not be your favorites. I have no idea, or you may just hate the whole idea of live recordings on vinyl. So here we go. The first one is Jazz at the Oberlin. It's the Dave Brubeck Quartet, and well, this one's pretty famous, right? So it was recorded live at the Oberlin College. So that's a liberal arts college out in Ohio. And when this was recorded, it was a really big deal because apparently, it was the first time that jazz music was being appreciated outside of a nightclub kind of environment. And also when the Dave Brubeck Quartet did this album, the intent was really to broaden the appeal and also to introduce jazz to a wider audience. And they actually recorded this in a chapel at Oberlin College. And what's really wonderful about listening to this album is that when you start it, the first track, right, the audience seems or sounds quite sedate. It's quite quiet, and they're applauding after the first song that they're playing, right? So they're just clapping their hands. It's like you're in Albert Hall, and after a piece is finished, people are politely clapping. But as you continue to listen to it, you start picking up on how people in the audience are getting really excited, and you can hear it in their applause. And it becomes more, it builds up, the momentum builds up until the very end, and it's really fantastic. And what I thought was really interesting was that reading the information on the back of this LP was quite fascinating. You learn that the drummer, what's his name, Lloyd Davis, he actually had flu on the evening of the concert, and he had a temperature of 103. So the drummer soldiered on for the whole concert. Even though he was running a temperature and was, well, obviously quite unwell. So that is absolutely incredible to know when you're listening to this album, because it is really superb. It was at this concert that Dave Brubeck Quartet, they basically kind of introduced the whole idea about the freestyle piano playing, and also apparently that a lot of academics have studied this album, the music, and the importance of this concert, this live concert captured at Oberlin College. And they were just saying how it was like the first time that jazz music was given more gravitas, and that it would be studied in a more academic way, as well, especially at Oberlin College, because they had a big time prestigious music department. So I just wanted to show you the label for this LP. It's really fantastic. It's the Fantasy label, and it was a publisher in Berkeley, California. For the Dave Brubeck fans out there, you probably know all of this already, but for those who aren't that familiar, he's a San Francisco Bay Area boy. So it's just kind of nice knowing that the label was the Fantasy record label based in Berkeley, California. So this was published in 1953, released in 1953. So the following year, in 1954, they went on like a countrywide college tour, and they came out with an LP called Dave Brubeck Goes to College. Then they came out with another one called Dave Brubeck Quartet Goes to Junior College. And apparently this whole idea about going on the road, hitting the road, and doing concerts at colleges and universities, that was a brainchild of Dave Brubeck's wife. And again, she thought it would be a great idea to do this, and this would actually introduce jazz to a bigger and, let's face it, a white audience. Because of this album, this is 1953, the Dave Brubeck Quartet Goes to College. That one, 1954, it was such a big deal that Dave Brubeck Quartet, they were featured on Time magazine. The second LP I have in my collection that I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite LPs of all time. It's the Stan Getz Quartet, and it features Astrid Gilberto, right? You got that kind of bossa nova sound singer. So these two, they've performed so much together, and that was actually, so this was in 1966. This was issued in, 1964 it says here, 1964. So it was at the Cafe Go-Go, and that was a club, a really cool club in Greenwich Village in New York. And that was also the first time that Astrid Gilberto performed live in New York. So it was a big deal. And it's just really fantastic. I think what you sense when you listen to this album is how close it is to the performances or the music you hear on CD. His live performance and that of his band members, and the singing by Astrid, it's so perfect, and you can't believe that this was a live performance. So it is incredible, and that's testament to their skills and their artistry. So this is on the Verve label. So this was 1964. It's a wonderful gatefold, you can see there. Stan Getz, he actually mentions a 21-year-old Gary Burton. So if you're a jazz fan, you know who Gary Burton is, because he goes on to inspire Pat Metheny. Oh, it's really lovely to hear Stan Getz actually give the 21-year-old Gary Burton a bit of a shout out during the performance. So the third LP I want to talk about, and that I have in my collection obviously, is Four Tops Live at the Rooster Tail. And it's really wonderful to hear these guys sing outside a studio environment, and you only realize how incredible they are when they sound so good in a packed out nightclub. You know, it's a club that was basically a hangout for all the Motown singers and all the, the backup people, everybody. And the Detroit folks would go there and have a great time, right? So apparently this club, the so-called upper deck section, was where people would perform. So you can see there's a photograph of the actual club upstairs. And this is in mono. What's really nice about this, so this was issued in 1966, right? So the Four Tops, they actually sing a couple of songs that are not Motown at all. So for instance, track number 7, I Left My Heart in San Francisco. Track number 3, It's Not Unusual. So these were the songs that were very popular in the 60s. It's Not Unusual, of course we know, that's Tom Jones's signature song. I Left My Heart in San Francisco, that's a Tony Bennett's signature song. So these were really hot songs in the 1960s, and it was really nice to hear the Four Tops do their cover of these popular songs at the time. Oh yeah, this is a good one. So they also did The Girl from Ipanema. So that's worth mentioning because Stan Getz and Astrid Gilberto, that's really their signature song, right? Him playing the sax and Astrid singing that song. So that's just really mental. And to hear the Four Tops sing it and sing their version of it, it's really nice. So I'm really happy to have this in my collection. And the ambiance is really nice to hear because you can hear people talking in the club, and you can hear the glasses clinking. Excuse me. So you have some nice noise in the background, and that just excuse me, it complements this whole live recording. So here's the fourth LP I wanted to talk about, and I'm really crazy about these guys. And I had never heard of them until Breaking Bad was big, right? and I was watching Breaking Bad, and there was a scene where there was a meth lab in a house, and I think the scene was that they covered it up. That was their cover. They were actually cooking meth right in the house. And one scene, they were mixing the chemicals and everything, and they played this song On a Clear Day, and it was the most funky version of On a Clear Day, and I was convinced that it was a song that was covered by a contemporary band or singer, right? So I started Googling, trying to find out, who did this song. And I discovered that it was done by the Peddlers in the 1960s. So that blew my mind away, because they were ahead of their time, the way they did the cover for this song. So their album called Live at the Pickwick, the Peddlers, right? So the Pickwick Club was a pretty cool club in London, and it was a hangout for a who's who, people in the music and film industry. So I guess in today's terms, people would think maybe it was kind of like the Groucho Club today, back in the day. So the Groucho Club is club in Soho in London, and it's a big hangout for actors, musicians and whatnot. So this LP is really fantastic, and it's got a wonderful introduction by the MC, and I love that aspect of live recordings, because it's a different format, and then it really draws you in, and you feel like you're actually there, like he's talking to you, the MC, the maitre d' or whoever's there introducing the gig. So right there you go. And so the Peddlers, they did a lot of cover, but they really made it their own. So some of the tracks on here, you've got Georgia on My Mind, Misty, You Are My Sunshine. My favorite tune on here is Gassin', and it's really funky, so you would love it. And I think these guys are really timeless. So here, this, Earth, Wind & Fire, Gratitude. This double LP album is basically live recordings of their concerts in Philadelphia and Los Angeles. This LP, they intersperse it with a couple of studio songs, studio recordings, and it works so well. And this is one of the most highly acclaimed R&B soul albums ever. And this went triple platinum, okay? And I have this on a CD, and I play it all the time. And this is an album that you got to listen from beginning to end. You could hear, Maurice White's showmanship. The guy was magnetic, and his audience engagement, the way he drew people in, during the performance, was just mad. And that's one thing about listening to this LP. It's like hearing the audience, get involved in the live performance. They're singing back, and Maurice White, he is incredible. He's constantly trying to engage the audience, right? And I actually went to an Earth, Wind & Fire concert in Oakland back in the day, and it was incredible. So for me, it really transported me back to that concert. And these guys, they are the ultimate performers. So here's the gatefold. I don't know if you can see. There you go. You can see that. Check it out. So it's really fantastic. This is a real winner. Real winner. So the last one that I have, at least for today, is the former lead singer for Harold and the Blue Notes, and it's Teddy Pendergrass. I'm crazy about Teddy Pendergrass. I've got most of his LPs. So this is live, coast to coast, Teddy. Yeah? In the back, it's got him wearing his cowboy hat. So this is also gatefold with full shot of Teddy Pendergrass there. So like the Gratitude album by Earth, Wind and Fire, that concert, Teddy Pendergrass is another one who completely engages his audience. I mean, and it's not surprising. You can hear a lot of screaming ladies in in the audience, in the background, because, you know, Teddy Pendergrass was considered, like, you know, one of the biggest sex symbols as far as the R&B soul singers in the 70s, 80s. And this is incredible. And again, what struck me when I whenever I listen to this LP is how true he sounds performing live with the sound, his studio sound. So again, you know, that is testament. Like these performers, these artists were the real deal. I mean, you know, there was no auto tune. They didn't have all these gadgets to fix your singing. He sounded even better live than, you know, some of his studio recordings for me. And, you know, the excitement of hearing him perform live, it's just crazy. At the end, he's interviewed by a Philadelphia radio station. He's coming across to me like an introvert. And how is this possible when this guy is like a major sex symbol and he's on the stage gyrating and singing? You know, it's a good way to end. You know, this video, it's with Teddy. 1979, this concert in Philadelphia. All these guys, they were the real deal. And, you know, if anything, they sounded even better live. So I'm going to end it there. So I'll see you next time. I hope you join me again. Bye.